Hi everybody, it's Roxy, Kyler, and Eli, and we are here at Brownwood Forest, and we are excited to be here today. We are talking about the canopy layer of the forest. So it is the highest layer up high. We can see all of our big oak trees make up the tallest trees in our forest. We have some poplar trees, we have some pines, and those are all the highest level. It is where most of the animals live in, for instance, a rainforest, but any forest. There's lots of different varieties of insects and bugs and butterflies and birds, and it is just a really cool layer of the canopy that we're going to be learning more about the different ways that trees can communicate, the different senses that they have. So trees can feel. So Eli just fell down on our nature trail, and did you feel a boo-boo? Yeah, so he felt a boo-boo. Trees also feel boo-boo. So if you cut into a tree or chop a tree, it feels that pain. Same with if animals come and bite the leaves or the bark, that the tree can sense that. Do you know what your 5 senses are? Seeing. Feeling. Hearing. Smelling. Tasting. Those are our senses. And we're going to learn. Yeah, through tasting. And we're going to learn about how the trees also have senses. And that is just super cool. So stay tuned for that. Some of y'all are maybe at church watching the lesson. Maybe you got to come in for the pod, reserve your pod space, and watch church live in the sanctuary for the first time. And that's a really big deal and a big celebration. And for others of us who are still staying at home for a little bit longer and watching church virtually, or maybe you didn't reserve a pod this time, but you hope to next time, we are still going to do 4 o'clock today on Sundays, our outdoor forest Sunday school. So make sure your parents tell me if you're going to come. 4 o'clock, Brownwood Forest. And we are going to be collecting some items for sensory boxes for Chris 180. So they do different counseling sessions with kids, and oftentimes, as we all know, that we like to feel things, right? Like we like to play with kinetic sand, we like to move with our desert stories, we like to have fidgets, and sometimes those touch senses help us to concentrate. And so one thing that they're in a lot of need for right now for their patients, their clients, are sensory objects. So stay tuned for that list of all of the objects like Play-Doh, kinetic sand that you can bring in. And if you are coming to Forest Sunday School, you can bring those objects with you, and then we will all decorate some bags and put them together so that Miss Katie Farmer can bring them over to Chris 180. So we are excited, and stay tuned for our lesson, and we are gonna run into the forest. Are you ready? Bye!
Bye.
Now's our time to read the book, The Magic and Mystery of Trees, written by Jen Green. If you have the book, go ahead and go get it. If you don't, you can follow along on your screen. We're going to start on page 42, Tree Senses. A tree doesn't have eyes, ears, fingers, or toes. Because they're so different from us, for a long time, no one knew that trees had senses. But now we know that they can tell what's going on around them. Hot and cold. Trees can sense how hot and cold it is. Even tiny seeds know if the temperature has become warm enough for them to sprout and start growing. Taste. When an animal nibbles on a leaf, the tree can taste the animal's spit. Trees can even tell different animals apart from the taste of their spit. Touch. Tree roots are amazingly sensitive. A tree can tell which root in the underground tangle are its own and can also tell whether its neighbors are the same type of tree. Hearing. Roots can hear the sound of running water and grow towards it. Even when the tree is completely sealed off, it knows the water is there. We don't yet know how they do this. We are only just beginning to uncover all the mysteries of what trees can sense. Seeing. They may not have eyes, but trees can certainly sense light and grow towards it. Every leaf on a tree can tell which direction the light is coming from. After all, they need light to make their food through photosynthesis. Time. Trees live life in the slow lane, but they do keep track of time. In spring, trees can sense the days getting longer. In fall, they know the days are shorter and prepare for winter. Being themselves. No two trees are exactly the same. Different trees living in the same conditions will still grow into different shapes. Some trees take part in the wood wide web, while others are loners. Talking. Trees can talk to insects using sights and smells. The bright colors and sweet scents of flowers tell bees and butterflies that food is available. Shouting. When they get thirsty, trees start yelling. If water can't flow from the roots to the leaves, the trunk starts to vibrate. That's a tree's way of complaining. Scientists are beginning to research how trees think using their roots like a brain. I wonder what you see is the same between trees and humans. I wonder what things are obviously different, but how can we learn through how trees can communicate and sense the world just like we do? What does that tell us more about God and who God is? Tree defenses. Imagine if you were a tree and an insect started to nibble on you. Ouch! Luckily, trees have a lot of clever ways to stop insect invaders. Sticky sap. Beetles attacking lodgepole pines often find themselves in a sticky situation. Before the yummy bark can be devoured, the pine tree imprisons the insect in a very sticky sap trap. Bitter dinner. Beech, oak, and spruce trees can pump chemicals called tannins into their leaves to make them taste bitter. This spoils the insects' meals, so they move on to the other trees. A tree can tell what kind of bug is biting it and can send for the right helpers. Insects to the rescue. Some trees use a different tactic to defend themselves against sap-sucking insects called aphids. They give off a special scent that calls ladybugs. These spotted insects hunt for aphids and will eat them all day if they get the chance. Under attack. Giraffes are the natural enemies of the acacia tree. Luckily for the acacias, they have some clever defenses at the ready. Not only do they protect themselves, they also warn other trees of the danger. Danger! Acacia trees can sense giraffe spit. When the tree's leaves are being nibbled, it starts making chemicals that make the leaves taste bitter. Yuck! Deterred. Giraffes don't like the bitter leaves, so they move on to the other trees. Heads up! As well as protecting themselves, the acacias give off a special scent that warns trees nearby that hungry giraffes are around. Group effort. The acacia's neighbors pick up the scent and start making their own bitter chemicals. The giraffes now have to walk a long way to find leaves that don't taste awful. I wonder how much of this information you knew before today. I wonder what are the new things that you find cool and amazing and wonderful. What a great reminder of who our God is to be this thoughtful and insightful and for preparing us and trees and nature with everything that they need to survive and thrive in this great world. Thanks for joining today.